Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere streaming. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible. The list gets longer, but it never ends because I'm on a happy 88 mission. 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. That's my job, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm so glad that you're still here with me, suffering through my positive talk in the morning, every morning at 8 a.m. After I moved from my afternoon primetime slot, drive time Fridays, to the daily morning show. And I'm so glad you made the switch with me. And for this week, I wanted to highlight a series that I did right after the brutal murder of George Floyd. And I know it's been a little bit, and I know some people are tired of talking about it, and can't we just return to normal? But the answer is no, we cannot return to normal, because when bad things happen, it tells us that change is needed. And so I did this very special series with my satellite sister, Akuyoe Graham, who's an actress, activist, and the founder of Spirit Awakening Foundation, that helps with incarcerated youth to discover who they really are. And I just love the work that she does, and we're also friends. And I thought while I was away in Canada that this would be a good series to leave with you every single day this week, because it's so important for us to remember how we got here, where we are now, and where we need to go, and how to get there with the changes that are needed. So without further ado, please enjoy. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Akuyoe Graham is an award-winning playwright, actor, and educator who has also dedicated her life to helping youth in the juvenile justice system, realize their spiritual identity. And she's also a very accomplished actress. She has producing credits. She's a brilliant speaker. She's my satellite sister out of Agape International Spiritual Center, where I get my positive roots watered and my peace of mind fertilized. And we're both students and lovers of my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, founder of Agape International Spiritual Center. Please welcome to my studio again, Akuyoe Graham.
Hey. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Dr. M. It's an honor and a privilege to have this time with you. I really look forward to our conversations.
Absolutely, absolutely. So last time we put the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of the elephant in the room, about, how do you love people who killed George Floyd? Yeah. It was the first time we talked about the whole, racism, and I shed some tears on my own experiences. And that was 3 weeks ago? So that was when everything was very fresh, and it seemed like everybody was on board. Racism is wrong. We got to end racism. It's not good. And it looked like we were most of us were on that, trajectory. Black Lives Matter, record-setting marches all over the world, for the most part, peaceful protests. And, it was getting momentum, and, changes, make sure people who were involved in killing were going to jail. looking at the systems, policing systems.
Mhm.
And then I don't know when exactly the tide began to turn a little. I would look at the feed and I would see Black Lives, don't say Black Lives Matter, it's All Lives Matter. And not only All Lives Matter, now it's Blue Lives Matter. So it was like many, and then, white privilege, white supremacy, white, then this feeling of either guilt or anger and defensiveness for being white. And then it was, the Black rage or righteous indignation and white kickback or defense or how dare you? And so now we're going to get behind the police. Now, that's my interpretation of some of the things that happened. So we're going to talk through all of that. We have, we don't have 2 weeks. We only have this limited time, but I really wanted to get your perspective and speak to kind of what's happened since we talked.
Well, as you said, I think that what we're seeing now is the kickback, those forces, those individuals, groups that feel threatened, and rightfully so, because they know that way of thinking, its days are numbered. So sometimes, it's like crabs in a barrel. If you're trying to get out of it, and America is really looking head on at its institutionalized racism, those that oppose that are going to hang on for dear life. Mm-hmm. And they are kicking back, strong. And however, we know the end game already, that love wins, love always wins. So what we're now seeing is those other individuals and the forces that propagate those kinds of beliefs, they are going to kick back. Mm-hmm. They don't want to die out. They don't want their belief systems dying out. They don't want a global world. They're afraid of annihilation, if you will. And yet we know that life is eternal. There's life after life after life. So these feelings of annihilation, these feelings of being destroyed, these feelings of not being good enough, it's coming up, it's rearing its head. So we get to see what we are letting go of. And so for those of us that are clear and have absolutely no doubt that racism has to be stamped out, it has to be eradicated, we must be diligent in staying the course. We must now be more diligent in being bold in our loving, in being bold in our oneness, in being bold in who we are, and hold up our heads and say, no, we're not frightened by this. Right. We're not going anywhere. Love wins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And another reason why I wanted us to do this is because, unfortunately, the ones that are dying and therefore screaming out loud, hopefully is a loud minority. My niece used that term when I was talking to her, where what's disturbing though is the loud minority makes it seem like it's the majority. Sure. And so I don't know how to lovingly say to someone on Facebook when they post something that says, Black Lives Matter protesters to blame for spike in coronavirus, or defunding the police will lead to massive violence and no protection. And, we're all going to get now attacked by criminals, or how can you let all these criminals out of jail right now? And so the loud minority seems like a very loud, angry, scary majority. Sure. And I don't, outside of unfriending people, how does one, say anything, or how does one react to that?
Well, and you're right. It does seem like, well, they're loud, number one. I mean, look
Yes.
at you and I right now. We're not being loud and behaving in an ugly manner. So it seems that sometimes these forces, these people with their beliefs are very, very loud and they're in your face. And it really is quite ugly. And so it can seem like, wow, there's so many of them, but there's not. There's not. There's more of individuals and organizations and people who recognize this time for what it is, that old ways and old systems must die out, who recognize that this is a reckoning. America, the chickens have come home to roost, and America and the world is looking at some of its historical decisions that it's made, and the ramifications of those decisions and laws that they've propagated, all along. And so, yes, sometimes it requires that we unfriend them. What my practice, what I try to do, and I have feelings, of anger. I get enraged. And yet when I'm in those moments, I have a practice where I can recognize it and go, okay, I'm in a high state of pasosity, I'm angry,
Right.
and to look and to be with that, not deny it, because denying it just makes it, kind of steep in even stronger. However, if I can be real with myself and say, okay, I'm feeling angry, and just to be with that, rather than acting out from that space, I approach myself with a curiosity. I want to know what this anger is there for. What is it telling me? What is it here to give me? And if someone has done something that I don't like, behavior that I don't like, if I've acted in a way that is out of integrity with my being, with my soul, I pray to be aware of that, to accept that of myself, to be forgiving of myself, and to know that, yeah, okay, I got snagged, I fell, let me get it back up, dust myself off and get back on the love train. Now, the love train isn't some wimpy sort of, oh yeah, I love everything, I love everyone. That's not possible. It's not possible to love everything and everyone. And, certain behaviors, of course, I'm not going to love that. I'm not going to love someone who's just murdered an innocent person. What I can do is to pray for forgiveness of that soul. I can pray that God of my being, the one God that incarnated in, through, and as me, to do the loving and forgiving through me, because I of myself cannot do that. I can't tell you how powerful that is, because again, I see something horrific or something that's clearly coming from a sense of being separate from me or other people. And we know that there's one life, there's one race. It's the human race. Within that race is all these beautiful dimensions and beautiful diversity. We have Asians and Africans and Peruvians and Europeans, and all of that is so beautiful. And all we're saying is, let us value each as we value, whiteness. We've made whiteness the end all and be all of everything. And we're just saying, no. Whiteness too is beautiful, and so is blackness, and so is Asianness. So we're all beautiful,
Right.
And I place the same value on each of the races. That's what this is about. So when someone says, well, all lives matter, yes, and all lives includes Black lives.
Yeah.
So why do you have a problem with it? If all lives matter, then why do you have a problem with saying Black lives matter?
Right. And I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And after the news break, we'll be back with more of It's Not Black and White, or is it? Dr. Marissa and Akuyoe Graham. Don't go away.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, and more. And of course, my YouTube channel where you can actually get the audio visual of every show, all 500. I think we're at 518 now. Unbelievable. It did go fast. But this week I am spotlighting the fabulous series called It's Not Black and White, or Is It? With my conversations about race and more with Akuyoe Graham.
Right. And it's really something like I posted something and someone says, well, what about the Native Americans? And it's like, yes, it's absolutely important to recognize that, they kind of, that's why I think that term of Indian giver is the stupidest term in the world, because like we took the land, coming here, we took the land from them. But it's not that other lives don't matter. But right now, a Black man was choked to death on camera, and he's not the first. And if you haven't seen 13th, the documentary by Ava DuVernay, please watch it. That's my number one action item for anyone who wants to be part of the loud majority that's coming from Love and Peace. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who this beautiful, colorful, well, I'll include me, the two beautiful, colorful women are today on my show. It is the incredible, wonderful, loving, lovable, and loved, obviously one of my favorite people on the planet, Akuyoe Graham, and me, yours truly, Dr. Marissa. And we're here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Happy with Dr. Marissa Day, talking about it's not black or white, or is it? So we're continuing the convo that we started 3 weeks ago. And just to, I'm dedicating the show to two people today. One is Curtis Bird, who's our amazing and very cute Curtis Bird. Isn't he? He's beautiful inside out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've had a beautiful relationship. Anyways, that's TMI. For many years now, just smiling at each other, and I saw his post and my heart just broke. I just exchanged a couple of messages with him, and yes, he will be coming on the show. Wonderful. When he's obviously when he's taken care of the death and his family. He's got numerous things happening right now, and my heart goes out to him. And we love you, Curtis, so much. I'm speaking on behalf of Akuyoe and all my fabulous supporters who are from Agape. I know we all love you and your drum playing for sure. But so let me go back and use a practical application. So Akuyoe, when I heard that Curtis's cousin Dominique Dunn was out with some friends, and they were having a good time, and it's not clear from the accounts now whether they were talking and it was okay, and then something happened. But what happened was the suspect in custody now called him an N-word, and only because this is on KCAA on my syndicated channel am I not using the real word, because sometimes we need to use the real word to feel the ugliness of it, but I'm not using it, but called him the N-word. And then when Dominique did not engage and walked away from him was when he went and got his gun and shot 5 bullets, and the second one hit him and he died. And that is so unbelievable. And that's why I said, we got to do this show, because it's worse. It is worse. And then what's worse is afterwards, there was no reporting of it, because I'm a broadcast journalist, so I follow and I look. And the first reports were the police, and the pictures of them, most of them were, you know, your traditional white police with statements saying that right now it was nothing to do with race. And I'm like, what? And then accusing the family members of circulating false information on social media that it was race. And it was like, it's bad enough this is happening. It's bad enough that this happened. And then to have that happen, and then have, you know, eyewitnesses corroborate, and there's still that denial. And then there was protesting, but the protesting is bad because da 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 da. And it's like, is this really?
Yeah. This is what time it is.
This you're asking me to love them and to be. I can't. You know, I was so mad. Akuyoe. Actually, I was reverse of the Kubler-Ross. I was so sad because that morning I found out about that. And that afternoon, a good friend of mine who was my former, or he was the founder of CEO Space International, and loved me, and I loved him. And he died day 12 of COVID, same day of finding out. And I was crying for 3 days, and now I'm mad. So I didn't go the other way, which is usually mad and then sad. I'm so sad, and now I'm mad. How do you, Akuyoe? How can you still love when that happens?
Well, you know, first of all, again, thank goodness you got, you know, mad and sad, because those are beautiful emotions in and of themselves, you know, and you're mad and you're angry because you see an injustice. You know, that's the level of your compassion. You see an injustice and you're like, no. And I'd rather have that than you see and go, oh, well, you know, nothing I can do. You know, you are righteously indignant, and that anger, that energy, look at what you're doing. You're having this show. You reached out to Curtis. You're going to bring him on. You're being proactive with it all. So you are already engaged in acts of love. This is what love would do. Love reaches out. Love says, what can I do? How can I be a better person? How can I facilitate healing? So you are already, you know, you are a lover. And love can't help love. I know. Love can't help loving, you know, and Dr. Marissa, that's who you are. You couldn't stop loving him even if you wanted to. You can't, you know, and thank God for that. That's the level of work you've done. You've done so much work on yourself. You put yourself out there. You are such a bright spirit, you know, in how you give and how generous you are. So again, you know, it's not that you have to love the act. Obviously, no. You know, this young man, first of all, he was called out of his name, and then he was killed. I mean, the other day too, I heard on the news, I think the gentleman was a professor. I'm not going to say any names because I'm not sure. But anyway, he was accosted by some a group of white people that tried to lynch him and put him on a tree, and he ran and saved his own life. And so we're seeing these things happening, you know, now, you know, I wonder, are these just now happening, or is it that because we have, you know, phones and videos everywhere, we can now bring it all to the light, you know, and I want to think that we can now bring it all to the light.
Wasn't that amazing? There's more all week. We're going to have all the conversations together. I hope you're enjoying them. I hope you're taking them to heart. I hope you understand that in order for us to have world peace, we've got to get to that place of inner peace, especially around race relations. Come back tomorrow. We'll have more of It's Not Black and White, or is it? This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her loving room on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind, reminding you to have the best day ever.